Hello and welcome back to Altcoin Buzz. It's me, Jimbo, back for another market update. In today's video, we're going to recap our Bitcoin technical analysis. We're going to dive into the Ethereum 3-day chart where there's a big pattern brewing. We will also round up oil and the Dow Jones Index where we've seen significant moves on those charts worth keeping an eye on. And before we conclude today's video, I want to go over two lower cap projects technical analysis, one being Ultra UOS and the other being VRA Verasity. If you're interested in that, make sure you stick around to the end of the video to check it out. If you like the content we make here on Altcoin Buzz, please slap a like on the video. That helps us get the content to more people. And if you want a chance to win that CryptoTag Zeus starter kit in our weekly giveaway, all you need to do is be subscribed to the channel if you're not already, and leave a comment down below. It can be whatever you want, and you'll be entered into the draw. And we're going to announce the winner next Saturday. As we normally do, we're going to start right here on the weekly chart, and as you can see, we're currently above that 6,500 support resistance area. We have failed to break the 7,300 resistance that we've been focusing on as well. Now seeing our weekly exponential moving average ribbon crossing to the bearish side, but clearly still trading underneath it, so it's a downtrend on the weekly chart. Be nice to see this weekly close above the 6,500, so we've got about 24 to 30 odd hours left on this candle, so it'll be interesting to see where that closes. If we can stay above 6,500, then I wouldn't be surprised to see us retest 7,300, whether or not we break down or up. But I do think from a personal bias perspective, we're still more likely to break down, even though we have seen a bit of bullish price action on this weekly candle. Note that the volume continues to decline here. And I'm just going to show you an alternative view of the weekly as well, with this potential falling wedge pattern that we've got playing out. And as you can see, we've got our support box in place on this chart as well. Now what I want to focus on here is we're very close. You can see that we're at that resistance. We've been rejected once again. This could play out a couple of ways. If we are to see this play out as a falling wedge, I'd anticipate that the next candle would break sharply to the downside and break this resistance at 5,800, if not before coming back up and testing. And then we're going to fall back down into this range. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't see it break out from there, perhaps test this as support before moving up. But that's only if this is validated as a falling wedge, which it very well could be. If we see this close where it is at the moment and see almost instant rejection on the next weekly candle. So something to bear in mind, we could be seeing a falling wedge pattern playing out here. And it's important to remember that a falling wedge is a bullish pattern, but that doesn't mean that price can't trade lower before we break out. So, you know, like I said, we see rejection, we come down and test these areas again, and then we break out. And of course, we've got this really critical long-term resistance line up here. Once we break this line, it's a long way away. We're all the way, we're even at our lowest point. We've got it drawn out in the minutes at 9,000. At current trading price, current trading time, it's sat at about 10,500. So it's a long way away, but that line is all important. Once we break that, bull mode engage, as I've said before. So here on the daily, you can see we're currently battling inside the midst of our exponential moving average ribbon. We've gone on and tested the 50 a couple of times in the last daily candles and been rejected each time. Also seen those daily closes with lower highs each time. That's very often a signal that we're going to see a reversal, but it was still above the 20 exponential moving average. And as you can see, the last time we broke it, that saw us get some downside action, and it could very possibly happen again if we are to see it break that 20 exponential moving average. Expect some further downside, and if we did break that on the daily chart, we can put this long-term support line into place that we've respected on several occasions, and this is going to be really important to keep an eye on this pattern here. We've obviously got that 6,500 support and this support line on the daily chart now giving us this crossover convergence. And I've mentioned these before. I often find that, and this is just from my own personal experience, where you have a convergence of supports, if they break, the more violently they break. So some people are watching 6,500 potentially. Some people are watching this longer term trend line, or this trend line from that started back on the 13th of March. So if they both break at the same time, you can expect to see significant downside. And if we do break that, then I'd anticipate at least a test of this 4,900 long-term red support line, if not the box below. just to see if there's anything more bullish we can see in any of our indicators here. We've got the MACD, the RSI, and the stochastic RSI. Stochastic RSI really up in the heavens at the moment in the high bull area, looking likely to cross back down. We've got that pincer motion occurring right now, which is usually the first sign of it to break back down again. That's not always the case. It can be rejected and pump higher, but when it's sort of hovering in these dangerous levels, there's a lot more space for the momentum to move to the downside. MACD slowly creeping up, but with no significant marks here in the green. You know, we're actually seeing lower green bars here, which is again a suggestion that the momentum is slowing up. Our RSI looks like it's still failing to break the 50 level, which is obviously quite important. We are facing resistance there right now. If we break it, it's going to actually allow us to have a really strong breakout, and I'll show you why. Because we've got these peaks here, and we've actually gone on to surpass these, which is a good sign, but it's now seeing rejection at the 50. So actually on the RSI, if we can see this break up past that 50 level quickly, actually I anticipate that to get followed with quite a good bit of volume, but we'll have to wait and see. It's still the volume on this move which is making me less confident that we're likely to continue to move up. We're still seeing our volume decreasing. No real bullish signs that the breakouts are happening just yet. Of course, as I keep stating, that once we break this level at 7,300, if we can get a daily close above that, which will coincide with this 50 exponential moving average, that will see us above the exponential moving average ribbon on the daily and past this critical resistance, and that's going to be for me the trigger that sees us break this long-term resistance line and get back into this previous trading range, and I'll be really excited to see if that happens, and you guys will be the first to know if it does. Ethereum Bitcoin 3-day pairing on Poloniex here. I've got an extremely bullish potential chart pattern here playing out for you guys to see. As you can see, we're looking at Ethereum Bitcoin pairing, and we've got this large descending triangle pattern playing out. Now, in traditional markets and lower time frames, descending triangles are often seen as a bearish indicator because the price is being squeezed lower and lower. You can see people are taking profits at lower points each time along the descending triangle pattern, and that's what gives us this shape. But in cryptocurrencies, and generally for my own trading purposes, I don't tend to look at them as immediately bearish patterns. I look at them as a tightening range which can break either way, because they very often do. The reason I want to highlight this chart to you today is the very bullish nature of what I'm seeing develop here. Now, remember, this is the 3-day chart. And we've seen this double bottom pattern play out here towards the support line of the descending triangle. And what I want to really focus on is once we formed this lower high here, this is when our volume really started to pick up. People noticed that we'd had this sort of double bottom pattern and the volume really picked up. We broke out of the long-term resistance line and we virtually respected it all the way down through this sell-off with our volume decreasing all the way down. As you can see, we're starting to look very green and bullish on the 3-day chart. Again, this could be a very good opportunity to get into Ethereum before a large move against Bitcoin. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I giving you financial advice. I'm just a dude on YouTube calling the charts as I see them, but this looks like a really bullish pattern, and it could be one of the cheapest entries for Ethereum if this does mark a really good bull run for it. If we have broken this pattern and we're going to start seeing more bullish price action, this could be a fantastic entry at 0.21. So worth keeping an eye on. Notice that our exponential moving average ribbon here on the 3-day hasn't been positive since 2018 July, and we crossed back over in February, and we look like we're on our way to respecting this cross, because as our price action is now starting to pick back up again, it's starting to look very likely that we'll see our 20 bounce before crossing back below the 50, and that's going to signal another bullish move if we do see that happen. So keep your eyes peeled on this 3-day chart. Of course, as normal, nothing's guaranteed, but it does look very bullish. If you're an avid viewer of Altcoin Buzz, you would have known that I was looking for a trade setup on oil, and boy did we get the mother of all trade setups. I want to go into some more detail on this chart and show you exactly what played out. Now, I'll first of all zoom out to the monthly so you can see where our lines come from. This was our support and resistance areas formed by this trend from all the way back in 2008, so a very long-term trend. And I was saying, look, we've broken below this support line. We'll go down now onto the lower time frames and see how it looks there. So we broke this key support back a few days ago, and I was bringing it to your attention last week that we were hovering around in this zone. and look at the bounce. Now, if I go down to the 4-hour chart, what I'm going to show you is a perfect Adam and Eve reversal bottom below the support line. So we saw it support us a couple of times, a couple of nice bounces, we came below, and here was the opportunity to trade. We saw one sharp Adam bottom, and then one more smooth and rounded Eve bottom before we broke the support line once again. And even if you'd have just entered off the break of the support line, which we've had highlighted for some time now, you could have taken already 32.8%, and 32.8% trading oil is a serious trade. This was absolutely clear as day played out. You can now see our exponential moving average ribbon on the 4 hours cross back to the positive. Entry was all the way down here. Once we set this rounded bottom, this was the entry down here. Fantastic trade setup. We'll keep an eye out for more of these Adam and Eve reversals right here on Altcoin Buzz. But what a great position for oil. We're now seeing it recover. Question is, how high will it go? Huge gap on the 4-hour chart here. We are facing significant resistance at the moment with this high volume area, so I wouldn't be surprised to see if we do see a peel back. But it's a crazy market with oil, and with the geopolitical situation changing daily, this could certainly keep pumping to the upside. We're going to quickly recap the DJI before we move back over to the crypto markets, because I've been keeping an eye on this for you guys also. And again, it's imperative to keep our eye on these other financial markets, because it's giving us an idea of how the recovery is going from the current crisis. Can you see on the 4-hour chart, we're still being rejected from the bottom of the exponential moving average ribbon. So tomorrow's open for Monday on the Dow Jones is going to be really interesting. Do we see it spike back into this exponential moving ribbon band, or are we going to come back down and support and test this previous support area? Again, from a personal perspective, I believe there's still more downside to come. You can see on the daily, it's a clear rejection off the exponential moving average, and we've come back down. To Monday's open is actually imperative looking at this right now, because we could break this 21,000 support once again, and last time we did, that really put us down into the dark ages in terms of price action for serious lows. And I would suggest that as we've been rejected and now we're coming down again, that we may even set a new low. But let's wait and see there. Monday's open is absolutely imperative for this. Next, I want to go and take a look at two low cap cryptocurrencies. Now, I want to point out that technical analysis isn't as strong for the low cap projects because the liquidity isn't the same, so the charts aren't always as predictive as they are in more fluid and liquid markets. However, that doesn't mean that we can't have a look at them. You just have to bear in mind that we take it with an extra pinch of salt, but we can use them, and I'm going to show you on one of them just how well these chart patterns play out even on a low market cap. So let's get into that. So I've jumped over to charts.cointrader.pro to do the technical analysis of one of my favorite projects, is Ultra. Ticker is UOS. Now, I'm not here to shill projects, so all I can do is advise you to go and check their website out. Check them out on coinmarketcap.com, whatever you've got to do, but go and do your own research on this project. They are working within the blockchain, gaming, and NFT areas, and they are very exciting. And the reason I want to highlight this chart to you, and as I said, we have to take the low market cap technical analysis with extra pinch of salt, but that doesn't mean that it can't apply. There's a few things that I really want to focus on. Clearly, we are in well, it's at least a tightening range. You could definitely wouldn't be out of place by describing this as a symmetrical triangle, which is a continuation pattern. And as we broke into the symmetrical triangle on the upside, that would suggest that we're going to break it to the upside and continue our push on upwards. Now, the other things that I want to highlight to you here are to do with accelerations of and buying pressure. Okay, so we've got this long-term trend line here, the long white line that you can see. And what I want to highlight is this here. So what you can see is we tested the support line, we came up and we broke back down. What happened was we didn't get all the way down to the trend line, right? So the buying pressure came in before we even came back to the long-term support, and that began a very strong rally up to the upside. Okay, here again we've broken down and we've come and tested our support line, and we've seen another push up, come back down, but again we haven't made it all the way back down to the long-term trend line. You can see this tweezer candlestick formation down here. What this suggests to us is that there's extremely large buying pressure down here, and for that to happen above this long-term support line is a really bullish symbol. And you can see once again we're breaking to the upside. We're looking to go and test our long-term resistance line up here, and if we break through that, expect this thing to really throw in some fireworks. The other thing that I really want to draw your attention to is this huge candle of volume right here. Now, as I said, it's a lower market cap coin. Its daily usual average trading volume is somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000. But here, just after we saw our tweezer reversal, we had a bit of a price back drop. And when it did come down here, someone or some people put a huge amount of buying pressure in at this point. They saw the strength of the project, they saw the strength of the technicals, and they made a big move. This was almost $2.5 million dollars worth of trading volume on one day, and as I said, considerably higher than the average. It would suggest that there's some serious buying pressure going on here, and don't be surprised if this thing really starts to fly once we break this long-term resistance line. We're going to keep an eye on it here on Altcoin Buzz. If you are an ultra UOS fan, keep tuning in, because I'm going to continue to review this chart as and when we test this resistance or previous support areas. I think that we may even see this breakout on this particular pump, and I'm going off the back of this strong volume here for that. Next up, I want to have a look at VRA. The project name is Verasity. You may have some fans of it out there. I want to show you something really strong in the technicals for that. Today's technical analysis, here we are on the Verasity Bitcoin chart on HIT BTC. This particular chart can be found on TradingView. We've got our normal indicators on, and what I want to really focus to is these two huge tightening range formations that we've got here. This is the daily chart we're looking at. This was played out between December 2019 all the way through to the 26th of January. And what you can see here is we had this tightening range and we broke out of it. What happened was we continued to trade along our support line for quite some time, but when we did finally bounce, and by not breaking the support, we didn't invalidate this triangle. So what happened was we finally sprung off the support, and then we saw this massive push up to the exponential moving average ribbon. We saw some resistance, bounced within it, and then broke up to form our second triangle formation that we can see. And once again, we're just breaking out of this resistance line and going on to testing this exponential moving average ribbon. Now, this could be the beginning of a really large move, in my personal opinion, over the longer time frames. And if we put this resistance line in here, I would personally be looking, if we were to break through this exponential moving average ribbon on the daily, put my targets up here on this long-term trend line, which is a long way away. So let's say we trade off the bottom of the off the break of the 50 exponential moving average. There's still, you know, almost 80% movement there. So certainly worth keeping an eye on VRA. Certainly worth keeping an eye on US. Both look like they could see big moves in the short-term future. That is going to conclude today's video. I hope you've enjoyed the content today. If you have, make sure to slap a like on the video. It helps us get the content to as many people as possible. If you want a chance to win the CryptoTag Zoo starter kit, all you need to do is be subscribed to the channel and leave a comment down below. Maybe let me know what your favorite project is. That's all you need to do. I'll be back later on in the week for another market update. Until then, guys, take care. Bye.